Hello everybody, Joe Marquez here, and I just want to say thank you so much for letting me be a part of your amazing event. Hopefully the things that I showcased to you today, you can use tomorrow in your virtual and remote environment, and also once we're back in the classroom, face-to-face with your students. I want to showcase for you today some tools that'll help you through visual learning styles for students. And when I'm talking about visual learning, I'm talking about having the kids be able to create a visual and vocal experience while they are learning your particular topic or completing your particular assignment. And these can be used cross-platform, they're device agnostic, and they can be used in any subject from English to history to science to math. So I just wanted to showcase this for you because I find these tools very, very, very important. And they complete all 5 C's of education: creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and my favorite C of all, cheap. Right? Because we all know that we don't have all that money to be spending on all these different products. And today I'm going to show you how to do these with some extensions that we have here in our Google environment. And I do hear that since the Microsoft Edge is now Chrome-based, a lot of these extensions will be available in that Microsoft Edge environment as well. And so I will be calling out when we're using these extensions, but just a quick rundown for this first part, we're going to be looking at Mercury Reader, Awesome Screenshot, Dual List, Super Simple Highlighter, Note Anywhere, Talk and Comment, Web Paint, and Immersive Reader. And I'm going to be calling out each time we're using a different tool, and I'm going to show you what it is used for. And we're also going to be looking at how we can app smash, meaning take a few of these different extensions, these different apps, smash them together to create a really great assignment and project for our students. So first thing is, what if you send your students to an article like this one on NASA, 9 Reasons We're Grateful to Live on Earth, and you ask your students to annotate right on the website. Traditionally, that wasn't possible in the past, but now we can do it with all the extensions that I showcased for you. The first extension I want to show you is Mercury Reader. Now, NASA doesn't have a lot of ads that pop up and a lot of things that will distract from the students' reading, but a lot of other articles that you may send your students to will have those pop-ups. So Mercury Reader takes away all of the junk and only leaves what is important about the article. So Mercury Reader is a little rocket ship right at the top, and when you click on it, it will convert the page into only text that is important to the article. It leaves all the fluff out and leaves that text right there for you. A really, really neat tool. Now, what if you ask your students, okay, now I want you to do those annotations. I want you to circle parts of the article that are important. I want you to highlight parts of the article that are meaningful. And so we do this with another tool called Web Paint. So when I turn Web Paint on, it allows me to have a pencil-like environment, and I can change the color to whatever color I want. Let's say I want blue. And now I can come in here and I can underline parts of the article that are important. I can circle parts of the article that are there. I can leave myself little notes by typing right off to the side. I can come in here and I can actually grab shapes to call out certain paragraphs that are important. I can come in here and I can grab pretty much anything that I want. And when you don't want it anymore, you can turn that off. And when you turn it back on, all of your highlights are still going to remain there. So that's a pretty neat tool to be able to use right off the text. And if you wanted the students to be able to turn this into you can actually take a screenshot of this right there, and you can actually download it to your device, and students can then either upload it to Google Classroom or they can upload it to other places that I'm going to show you in a minute. So it's a really great routine and a really great tool to utilize when doing those articles online. Now, the only downfall to this is if I do have to scroll down farther, that the annotations don't follow it. And that's because this is like an app on top of an app, and they don't really work well together. If you do want the annotations to flow with the article, then you are going to want to turn Mercury Reader off. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to turn Mercury Reader off. Here's that article that we were traditionally talking about. I'm going to click on the Web Paint tool, and I can still do the same highlights and underlines and circles and everything that I could do earlier. But now if I scroll, the Web Paint follows it, which is pretty great. Now, so what if you wanted to highlight though? Like, so we're doing all of our digital annotations, but what if now you want your students to be able to highlight certain aspects of it? And I don't just mean like covering it with a color. I mean truly highlighting it. That's why I like another tool called Super Simple Highlighter. Now, whenever you're interacting with text, you don't actually click on the extension up at the top. You just highlight the text you want to interact with, and then you right click. And so right here you see I have a super simple highlighter. And so if I want to highlight this red for important, like this is on fire, I can highlight it red and it does that for me. Now let's say this part is a part that's really important to the character of this article. I can come in here and I'm going to, let's say we call that green. And so you can have your class created highlights and you can have what your colors represent, and you can have those representations right here on your webbed article. And the great thing about it is once you're done highlighting all these different parts of the article with all your different colors for all your different purposes, then once you've done that, you can come up to the top and actually click on the highlight simple highlighter extension, and it will give you a rundown of every highlight that you've left on that article. Pretty neat. Now, here's another thing. So we've done digital inking, we've done digital highlights, but now what if we want to leave ourselves little notes? That's when I use the tool Notes Anywhere. And there's two different reasons. One is it's great because like I highlighted this red because why? The kids come back and they forget why they left that highlight. They can leave themselves notes. I left this because ... And so they can leave all of these notes around here for all the different purposes. So I'll click on it again. Here's the green one, blah, 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 blah. So now we're leaving little breadcrumbs of why these parts were important. So to me, that's really neat and essential, because we always ask our students to annotate and read an article and do all these things, and then maybe class ends or time is up and we have to come back to it the next day and then recall what we were doing. The students always, in my experience, forget why they left highlights, why they did those underlining. So being able to leave little notes to themselves is incredibly important. And if you have littles who aren't very good at typing, or you know, the students would rather hear their voice, here's a neat little tool called Talk and Comment. The Talk and Comment extension is up here at the top, but you don't use that button. It automatically creates a brand new button on the right side of any website that you're on. So if you want to leave yourself a note, all you do is click on it and then talk. So the reason that I highlighted this section green was because I felt it was a very important part that explained why the Earth is a very special home planet for us. You click on that green button and it gives you this link. You only want to copy you see at the very end, it has this little option where it says voice note. You don't want to copy that part. So you copy the last letter before that and all the way, and then Control C to copy that. Then we're going to click OK. And once we've done that, we're going to paste that right in there. If you want to actually, when you come back and you want to listen to that voice note, you double click and then go to that part of the website and then hit play. So the reason that I highlighted this section green was because I felt it was a very important part that explained why the Earth is a very... So it left that voice note for me right there on this Note Anywhere option. Very great way to incorporate voice into your digital inking and highlighting right off of any website that you have. A really great tool and a really great purpose. Now, there's a couple different ways that you can actually take this and have your students showcase it to the rest of the class or to yourself. One is by utilizing the picture taking option right here. Once you take that picture, you now have the entirety of what you were working on. You're going to click download. And this goes right to your computer or device that you're working on. I love to use a slide snap template for my students to showcase the work they're working on right now. Now, a slide snap template is for a snapshot in learning of what they are doing right now. So in class, if you were having your students work through this, after about 10 minutes, you can say, stop, take a snap and put it in your slide snap template so I can review it. So they would just take that screenshot, they would come back over here, and notice it can be done digitally or physically, but we're going to go ahead and place that right here where it says place image. I'm going to right click where it says place image. I'm going to replace it with an item from my computer. It's going to be my screenshot. And I can definitely move it around to best fit the part that I want it to showcase. Right there. And so now I have a snapshot of what I was working on. Next, I would have my students type what they have learned. I learned ... And then they would come over here and they would bring an emoji over the top of how they felt while reading the article. If the article was difficult, they would bring over the angry emoji. If they were confused by the article, they would put a confused emoji. And this is for you, the teacher, because as you're going through these, the emoji will tell you which students got it and which students are frustrated. And then finally, they can add a video. Now, I would recommend utilizing Screencastify, and we're going to be coming back to Screencastify quite a bit for this visual learning technique. And so what I would do is I would have my students come right over here. They would click on Screencastify. I would have it record my desktop, make sure the microphone is turned on, and select record. I'm going to go ahead and choose this screen. Well, Mr. Marquez went ahead and gave me this article to read. It was the 9 reasons we're grateful to live on Earth. I really loved this article because the Earth is one of my favorite planets, and not only because it has Wi-Fi. If you notice, I highlighted this section in red because blah, 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 blah. And then I did this section in green because blah, 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 blah. And then down farther, I highlighted this in orange because blah, 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 blah. So once your students are finished recording, they would hit stop sharing. It automatically renders right here for your students. It renders for the students and automatically saves to their Google Drive. Now, once it is downloaded to your Google Drive, you're going to want the students to click on Copy Shareable Link. Now, this isn't to grab the URL link. It's to make sure that the video itself can be viewed by anybody looking at the slide snap. So now they go back into the slide snap, and right there where it says Place Your Video, you're going to click Insert, Video, from my Google Drive, and whatever video was placed there most recently. I'm going to select this one because this is the one we just recorded, and hit select. The video has now been placed on my slide snap. I'm going to resize it and fit it right here over that video section. And now, not only do we have a visual of what our students completed, not only do we have an emoji that records what our students are feeling, not only does it have text on what they did, but also their voice and a video of a run-through of how they approached it. This can be done for any subjects. Imagine using this for a science review. You're teaching them a particular subject, or they're going through a particular lab, and they take a picture of what they've done, explain why it was important, and then also a video of what they've done. Imagine this for an English class as a chapter review or a book review. And then finally, imagine this for a history class of a battle review or a general review. It's something that can be done for every subject that you can think of. Now, I highly recommend using the Slide Snap template or any kind of Google slide template when multimedia is your #1 component or learning outcome for your students. For example, if the picture isn't that big of a deal, but you really want to utilize video, you can always use this YouTube projects template. And in this YouTube projects template, you can place your video right here, just like in YouTube. You can give your YouTube a title right here. You can give your YouTube a description, and then you can talk about how you completed that right there. So very similar to the Slide Snap template, only the video is the #1 thing that you are utilizing. But if drawing and creation and digital inking is what you are really looking to get out of this for your students, I would highly recommend utilizing Jamboard. Jamboard is a free tool from Google, and it is incorporated into the G Suite suite of programs you can use in your education programs. But it allows for visualization and drawing made by the students. For example, what if you wanted your students to explain in text and images and drawings how 5 pennies is still worth less than 1 dime? So that is an important visualization that needs to be done. And through Jamboard, you can see that this visualization can be done with images, it can be done with drawing, it can be done with text. It's a very great routine when your learning outcomes are student creation or students to be showcasing what they've learned. This is fantastic for math because they can actually showcase what they know. It's also fantastic for science. For example, what if you wanted your students to tell you how electricity works? How does electrons flow through a light bulb and a battery to create light? Well, after, teaching them and having them go through maybe a PhET activity on this, they would have to come in and sketch what they've done and then tell what they did. Now, this sketch and tell template was adopted by the EDGE Protocol Field Guide sketch and tell template created by John Carippo and Marlena Hebern. Fantastic resource if you're looking to get ideas on how to utilize technology in the classroom. Now, you may be asking though, how do you see if what the students are doing, or how can you tell that the students are on the right track, or how can the students explain this to the rest of the students? Well, the first answer to one of your questions is, as the teacher, you can click down on the sketch and tell and see everybody working in real time, allowing the teacher to actually see in real time what the students are drawing. And if you notice a particular student is getting off track or not quite getting it, you can easily go by and help that student. Now, there's another step that you can take if you would like to incorporate video. Well, you can't incorporate the video directly in the Jamboard because video at the moment in the web-based version is not an option. But there is a workaround with this, and that is through Flipgrid. Now, in Flipgrid, I created a topic called a grid snap, very similar to a slide snap, but the difference is you're going to actually bring in the content into a Flipgrid. To complete your grid snap, all you would do is click on the plus button and then log in, or your students would log in with their Google account. Once they are logged in, they can then begin their project. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to go back to their sketch and tell, and they're going to click on these three dots in the upper right hand corner, and they're going to select Save Frame as Image. It's only going to save the one frame that the students right here are working on. Once that frame is downloaded to your computer, you can then go back into the Flipgrid and you're going to select Photo Sticker. That just means image. And we're going to add the photo sticker to our Flipgrid. From my device, I'm going to select the sketch and tell that I just downloaded and click Open. Once I click Open, the sketch and tell will be inserted right on top of your Flipgrid. You will then enlarge it for the students to be able to tell what they've done. Once the students have placed it in the place where they would like it, they then click Record. So today, Mr. Marquez was asking me to work on a sketch and tell to tell you what I learned about light bulbs. In this light bulb, I saw that the electrons actually flow out of the negative end and then go through the light bulb and complete a circuit and coming back into the positive end of the light bulb. This creates an electricity circle which allows for the light bulb to light up. That's what I learned. Thank you so much for listening to my grid snap on the light bulb. Then the students would then hit next. They can watch it, they can edit it, they can cut out the beginning, they can cut off the end by clicking on the actual item. I'm perfectly happy with what I've recorded. I'm going to click next. They can record a selfie of themselves. I would recommend they actually select a frame from their image. Then click next. Move it over so that they can see that it's their sketch. And then click next. And here, if they wanted to, they can actually, in the title, just type a little bit about what they've done. They can put an actual link to the sketch and tell, because every single page has its very own unique URL. So they can copy that, and they can actually paste that right into the Flipgrid. And then they would submit their video. And congratulations, it has been completed. And so now the sketch and tell that the students would be there are going to be right there in your grid snap. Now, there's also another way you can have your students use Flipgrid and the sketch and tell or any Jamboard right out of Flipgrid as well. Instead of actually downloading an image and uploading it to Flipgrid, you can actually now record your screen directly out of Flipgrid. To do that, once again, they would click on the plus button, make sure they are logged in to their student Google account, and then they would begin their recording. But this time, instead of selecting the record button and then uploading the image, you're going to select these three dots for video options and then select Screen Recording. Then you're going to start recording your screen. It's going to ask what screen would you like to record. I'm going to record this screen that we are on. It's going to go 3, 2, 1, and then I jump to my sketch and tell. So Mr. Marquez asked me to talk about my sketch and tell. Now, if you would like to actually use annotations in your screen recording with Flipgrid, we're going to go back to one of the tools that we learned at the very early of this recording, and that is our web paint. You can actually utilize web paint right out of your sketch and tell and incorporate it right in here. So you can then write over everything you're doing to talk about everything that's going on in your sketch and tell. And when your students are done, all they would do is select stop sharing. Notice it automatically places it right in the Flipgrid. They're going to hit next. Once again, take a selfie, or I want to recommend selecting a frame. There we go. I'm going to hit next. And then now you have the same option of placing in the link and then submitting your video. And now, as you can tell, we have both of the ways that we are presenting our sketch and tell right in Flipgrid. Fantastic way of incorporating visual learning and voice and choice all in one location. Now, isn't that a great app smash? Another way to incorporate Flipgrid in a fun way in your classroom to showcase what students know is through what I call a grid mask. A grid mask is taking an image that is masking part of the video in Flipgrid to create a whole new experience. I want to show you our daily profit grid mask. Now, I created this in a Google Draw or a Google Drawing. And the first thing I did is under File, I went to Page Setup and made sure that I am set to widescreen of 16 by 9. Then I went ahead and created my daily profit mask. And all I did is I looked up PNGs for daily profit, and then I brought them in. So notice each of these is its own individual PNG. Now, this is the part that's going to be static in our grid mask. The part that the students are going to participate in is this space right here. But we need to actually remove it so we can see through it. So what I do is I take File, and I download this as a PNG. I then go to a great website called Pixlr, and I'm using their brand new editing software called Pixlr X, 100% free, and you never have to log into it. I'm going to go ahead and load my image that I want them to see, and I want that to be my daily profit grid mask. Once it's there, I want to delete or remove this entire section that is blue. So I'm going to click on my scissors and the magic cutout, and all I'm going to do is select the blue. Boom! Now it's gone. I'm going to go ahead and click Save, make sure it is a PNG, and then I'm going to select Download. And there it is. Now, as the teacher, I took that download and actually put it in to my grid mask topic, so my students didn't have to go through that entire process. But I do have to tell you, if you wanted your students to make their very own, it's easy for them to do, and it's easy for Pixlr X to remove that. So they absolutely could create their very own. Now, if we want our students to use the grid mask, all they would do is start our grid. They would once again log in with their Google account to the topic. And before they start recording, what they're going to do is they're going to bring up that picture and they're going to include that daily profit PNG that we just created. I'm going to extend it for the entirety of the screen. That's why we selected 16 by 9, so it fits perfectly. And if you know anything about the daily profit from Harry Potter, it is not color. It is in kind of grayish black and white. So I'm going to select this crystal ball and I'm going to turn it into a gray recording. And then what I'm going to do is hit record. So what I learned from our science experiment is that it's not magic, it's science. And what we did was we incorporated a chemical reaction by using baking soda and vinegar, which created CO2 coming out of the top. It's an amazing scientific discovery. It is not magic. I don't care what you say. And so there we go, and we hit next. And once again, I highly recommend selecting a frame. There we go, and hit next. And now we have our daily profit grid mask right there for them to use. Now, there's lots of grid masks that we have created, and you're going to get access to every single one of these, all of the Google slide templates that I've shown you, and even more. You're going to get access to all of those, and you're also going to get access to all of these grid masks that we created. One of my other favorite grid masks is the TicToc grid mask. Now for the TicToc grid mask, I don't really have to remove any of the background. All I do is I actually create a black background to put all of the items that TicToc has. The TicToc username, the how many likes, the comments, the how many times it was shared, the record with the music coming out. The students can then come in here and they can change up what they'd like to say right up there, and all the icons right there. And then what I do is I delete the background, and then I'm going to save this as a PNG. Now, once again, for the students, I went ahead and incorporated that TicToc Mask right there for them to download. When they want to use it, they just hit the record button and they make sure they log in with their Google account. And once they are in, they're going to upload that mask the same exact way we did for the Daily Profit. They're going to click on the Add Custom Sticker. They're going to add it from their item right here. And there we go. We make it big enough to cover up the entirety of our Flipgrid. And look, it's just like a TicToc screen. And another great thing is if you want the students to add more text, they can add more text right up here, right off to the side with the text option right here. Really great way to incorporate more things. They can even add more emojis. But once again, it looks just like TicToc, right? We have our recordings right over here. We have everything that they need right up here, just like you would in TicToc, and they hit record. Hello everybody, I want to tell you what we learned about in class today right here in my TicToc. And they'd hit record, they hit next, they'd view what they did. Once again, I would definitely recommend they select their frame, hit next, and next. And as always, it is now completed. And there you go, the TicToc Flipgrid response is now right there in our Flipgrid topic. So these are some really neat and great ways to get students to think about presenting things in a different way. And I know I showcased for you that I was creating all these grid masks, but the great part is when students can go in and make these grid masks, you can receive some really great YouTube topics. And for all of my Microsoft friends out there, I want you to know that these all can be made in Microsoft's PowerPoint Online as well. So even though I'm showing it to you being created in Google Slides and Google Drawings, it can all be created in the Microsoft environment as well. You would just save this PowerPoint slide as an image, and then you would still take it in to your Pixlr editor and remove that image right there. So it can be made in any platform that you are using. And the last thing I wanted to showcase for you is a great Flipgrid workflow called the Chapter Chat. The Chapter Chat allows students to be able to chat about a chapter at a time, and everybody can see each other's insights. One of my favorite chapter chats to do is in The Outsiders, and one of the reasons is because in The Outsiders, the chapters have no names. So it's a great activity if your school is reading The Outsiders to have students look for artifacts or look for reasonings within every chapter on what the chapter's name should be. And they should be bringing in learning artifacts or things they've collected as they're reading to be able to showcase what their chapter name should be. Now, I love chapter chats because it actually makes sure that students are pre-planning everything out. They can't just do things on the fly. So they have to critically think on what artifacts should I bring? What parts of the chapter are important? How am I going to put together this chapter chat to prove what I am saying? Next, it's communication. How am I going to communicate this? Am I going to use digital ink? Am I going to use images? Am I going to use sections of the chapter? That's also very important. Another one is collaboration, because you may have to work around with the rest of your class saying, hey, what did you get out of this chapter? What are you doing for this? So it really allows for that. And then finally, creativity, because it's super creative the way students will put these together. And one of the things I love to give my students in a chapter chat is a grid mask chapter chat. So it allows kind of like a picture-in-picture, the student's face to be there, but also a whiteboard area for our students to work on. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and click on plus in our chapter chat. And just like with the rest of our grid mask we've been working on. I'm going to click on the sticker, and I'm going to add the chapter chat sticker specifically for this assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and bring it in. Bring this all the way to the bottom. So like I said, we're going to be bringing in artifacts from the Outsiders. Notice over here we have a whiteboard space to bring everything in, and then we have this right here as the picture-in-picture, so the student is still part of this. And then down here below you can put the title or maybe the chapter title you want. So a lot of cool different ways that you can be utilizing this. So I'm going to bring in some of the learning artifacts that I collected along the way. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and bring in some more stickers to overlay on top of my stickers. So I want to bring in the title of the book, The Outsiders. I'm going to bring that right down here on the bottom. The next thing I want to do, I'm going to bring in another image over here, maybe the book cover, so everybody can be on the same page. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down a little bit and bring this right over here. The next thing I want is maybe a paragraph out of the chapter that I read to kind of give some points on what I should be bringing in. So I'm going to be doing this over here right out of, here's the chapter. So here's the book, The Outsiders, and maybe I want to bring this paragraph in right here for my students to be able to look at this first chapter out of The Outside. To grab part of this paragraph, I'm going to use an extension called Awesome Screenshot. It does a really good job at taking screen capture. I'm going to select this particular area. So I want to bring in this part of the chapter because there might be some information here that I want to be able to showcase to my fellow students. There's the chapter right there. I'm going to go ahead and click download to my computer right here. Save it right there. Excellent. I'm going to go back into my chapter chat, and I'm then going to bring that paragraph in right there as, once again, another sticker. So now we have our paragraph right here. And we notice we have more room for more, so we can keep bringing more things in. So now that our students have set this up, I'm going to go ahead and click on my drawing tool and then hit record. So 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Joe, and I want to talk about Chapter 1 out of The Outsiders. And what I want to do is I want to make sure you know that this part of the paragraph right here is extremely important. And this is the cover of the book, and then here's the name of the book, The Outsiders. And I want you to know that this part of the book right over here, the oldest brother Soda, he didn't really resonate with me because he was too older. The person I did like in this entire book was a character called Ponyboy. I'm going to click pause for a second because I think I have a Ponyboy picture. There we go. There's Ponyboy. I'm going to bring this down here. And then I'm going to start recording again. Make sure I click on my pen so I can annotate. So Ponyboy here was one of my favorite characters because I really related to him because this, and this. I really wish Ponyboy was here to tell us a little bit about himself. And then I pause, and remember how I showcased for you that we can remove these spaces in Flipgrid to allow for kind of this picture-in-picture? You can do the same thing with images. So I did the same thing. I brought in this image and I put this shape right over the mouth. I took that into our pixeler right here and I removed the mouth, and then that turned it into another grid mask. So if I bring this in, now we can do this. Now this is going to be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and click photo sticker, add custom, and let's bring this Ponyboy in. Right here, I'm going to go and make him a little bit smaller, bring him right about there. I'm going to tilt my head a little bit to match him. And there we go. And so now Ponyboy is going to tell us a little bit about himself. So yes, I'm Ponyboy, and I really was part of this book. And I'm so glad that you liked that I did this, blah, 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 blah. Thanks a lot. And so you have this Ponyboy right here. And if you want to move anything out of the way, you can just drag it off to the side and it's gone. There's one thing you do have to make sure your students understand is if they click anywhere on this, it'll remove everything. And it didn't really remove it. It just brought this image to the front. Everything's still back there. But there's no way to move this back again. You can't like right click it and push it back. So just be aware that your students might do this. So if they do, they would just have to bring everything back in again. But it is a great way to allow our students to be able to showcase what they know in a fun and innovative way. And for all of you math teachers out there, it doesn't have to be chapter chat. It could be problem chat. And they can have their face right here and then just use this as an online whiteboard with their face still here. Because I know that the whiteboard here is a great tool, but there's no way to see the student's face. And sometimes students don't want their face to be shown. But I love to see my students, and I love to have my students be able to talk about it. So this kind of is a way to bring in a digital whiteboard that you can draw on with your face still here. So if you don't want to call it chapter chat because you're not an English teacher, you can definitely call it problem chat or math chat, do whatever you want. But it's a great way to have your face here, and the students can then come over here and just be part of the points right there. So this was one of my favorite things to do to showcase all that visual learning. I'm so excited that you guys were able to learn with me today and collaborate with me today. If you loved any of this stuff, if you're watching this, you're like, oh, I like this stuff, I want to know more, we do have a YouTube channel. That it is the Sons of Technology YouTube channel, which you can click and see right here. And you can definitely go there. It is at youtube.com/Sons of Technology. And everything that I showcased here for you today, I have step-by-step guides on every single thing that you will need to recreate everything that I showed you. And if you want to contact me directly, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter at JoeMarquez70. Tweet at me or send me an instant message, and we can definitely chat to see how you can create this visual learning style within your classroom to really stoke creativity and collaboration within your classroom walls. Thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you so much for learning with me today. And thank you so much for being that amazing educator I know you are to enhance that life of every student within your classroom. Thank you so much, and have yourself a wonderful day.